Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
All right, good to be back here on a Monday of a bye week. 3 games under our belt right now, of which we've been able to win them all. Obviously, a good place to be. I know I spoke on Saturday about kind of the tale of two halves. The way we came out of the gates and built a 35-0 lead. It was all 3 phases contributing. Defense, I know they gave a few plays here and there, but they didn't give them much. They certainly didn't allow them to get a run game going, and then we were able to really put pressure on their quarterback, ultimately get a few sacks. Offensively, scored real fast, and the film didn't look much different than you thought. It was guys seeing things right, but it was big holes created by our offensive line. We passed the ball very efficiently in that first half, and then special teams. The huge contribution with the block punt, and we got a chance to play some 2-minute defense and some 2-minute offense at the tail end, and we didn't convert on both those offensive possessions, but we got one. We got a field goal, and then defensively had a chance to get them in a 3-and-out to get the ball back. So going into half, felt really good about where we were at, and I know. Felt good about the opportunity we're going to be able to provide for a lot of our second, third teamers. And it was really a mixed bag in that second half. It wasn't without some real positive things happening. Ultimately, the scoreboard didn't reflect much positivity as they scored. They scored 3 times and we scored once. But that experience is so valuable for those young players to know what a game feels like. A lot of them, it wasn't their first game, but it was meaningful time for sure. And I think it also tells them, okay, how do I get better? You get better through your preparation during the course of the week and how you approach practice. I hope is a little bit differently in some regard. And then at the end, like I said, there was some positive things. Some guys did flash in the right way, and that's ultimately, I think those guys playing in the second half. We talked about it. Maybe a third of those guys, will find their way into some real meaningful time, and that's we'll be able to chalk that experience up on Saturday as a way for those guys to continue to move forward. So. This bye week ahead of us allows us to rest up. We've been at it for a long time, going back to July 25th when we reported. It certainly allows us to look forward at our next opponent, Mercyhurst, and allows us to get back to the basics to some degree as well. So we'll practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll go out recruiting in full force on Thursday and Friday, and then we'll get back next Monday. In our full preparation for Mercyhurst. So on the injury side, I know we sustained a few injuries late in that game. Unfortunately, Brock Steele is going to be out for the season. Second to last defensive play he got hurt on. Other than that, I think a few guys that picked up some things late in the game. I don't think there'll be anything long-standing, but Brock was playing a critical role on special teams, and his role had continued to grow on the defensive side. So I feel terrible about that. And I know he'll find his way back, but it's you never want to see those things happen. And I know on the injury front for guys that haven't played, this week provides, an extra week. So I do think we'll get Mastel. I think we'll get Reed back. I think Trimble will be back on defense. We'll see with John Johnson what that's going to look like. But ultimately, we'll get a few of those guys we've been missing on the offensive side back for sure. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
Scott Trey, earning a Big Sky co-offensive player of the week. Just thoughts on his performance through the first 2 games.
Yeah, I think really explosive. I think he's not missing much. He hasn't made every guy miss downfield, but he's made some of them miss. He's finished runs. He had a really good true freshman year, but you can see the offseason work has certainly paid dividends. And, with him and Adam in particular, I think we got two different styles. And they're both seen it well, and they're both, I think, hard guys to bring down in the open field. And I think fortunately for us, they're getting in the open field quite frequently. And the more we can do that, the better off we're going to be.
Talk about the offensive line depth. Now you guys are trying to shore that up a little bit. I guess what have you seen from that group, especially in a game like Saturday, where they're opening up some pretty big holes for Scott Jen?
Yeah, I thought, the starting five that we've played with, that was the cleanest that they've played in run blocking and pass protection. And yeah, there was gaping holes at times, and I think that combination of playing, We're saying and Connor Moore in the interior is pretty lethal, especially with an inside running game. And then I do think Titan Fleischman and Cedric Jefferson have played quite well in these first three games. And however it shakes out for us moving forward when we get some guys back, I think the five guys that have played and the new two guys, I guess, have really solidified themselves as guys that, have earned the right to be on the field.
Some of those pass plays that the defense allowed, and there was that one drop by Moss that probably would have been a touchdown. Did you see anything?
Yeah, I think, that was one thing with our ones. They didn't, they gave up the one touchdown in the first half, but we had probably three busted coverages. And that was one of them. That would have been a touchdown had they completed that ball. So yeah, there's some things to correct. Some adjustments, communication that we didn't quite get on the same page. And I think that was one. And then they had two other big plays in that first half that were really due to our miscommunication more than it was anything they particularly did. Now the presentation, the motion, I suppose, is what they did more than making a play. So yeah, definitely some things are correct from the first group. And as we prepare this week, that's part of it. I think looking at these first three games and saying, okay, where have we had some mistakes? Where have our ability to recognize what's in front of us, communicate, all be on the same page? Where have we been a little bit off in that regard, and really work to correct those things?
And then Miles Sampson making both of his field goals. What were just your thoughts on?
Yeah, I thought, it was his best day of the three, not just because he made all his kicks, but I thought just the consistency with the kicks was there. And, it ends up being 7 for him, right, and for the day. So positive. And we're 3 games in. We've made all our extra points. I know we had the two misses, the one block down in Utah Tech, but I think 3 games in, while we haven't really tested test him with any real deep kicks, I think the consistency, I think has been solid. I think there's no denying that. And where Casey's health gets over the next couple of weeks and what that means, I think that's definitely a question of where we continue to move forward. Because I think Miles has done a decent job of saying, hey, I can go out there and be consistent and where exactly the range is. I don't think we've maybe tested those limits yet, but feel good about the data yet.
Tell me sliding and get out of bounds a couple of times. How much have you seen him prioritize making not necessarily the smarter play, but prioritizing his health over?
Well, I think it is the smarter play. His health is the smarter thing. No, I think there was some real good examples in that game. I think he slid once, which he hasn't done a lot, and even the way he allowed himself to get tackled a couple times was less combative than he might otherwise be, and he was able to get out of bounds multiple times. I know we talked a lot about being able to limit him through the first part of the season, and I think we've done that. Some things, scrambles just end up happening. Some of the read plays, I know there was a couple of those, I think 2 of those in the game that he ends up pulling. But no, I think he understands that, for him to be with us over the long haul is the most important thing. And, choices that you make in the moment sometimes are very difficult, but he's done a good job so far.
Mentioned after the the cramping and then the last game that, he should have gave on that play. Did you guys have a conversation at all about like that specific?
Well, I just think that one in particular, he could have. So yeah, I think, we're getting the lead built up. We're 28-0. We had three possessions after being up 28-0 that he played in. I think it's, error on the give. You don't need to force anything. There'll be points in time, down and distances, situations that, if it's a 50-50 read, well, the 50-50 falls on him keeping it. But I think, yeah, we've had those conversations, and I think that was a good learning experience down in Utah Tech.
With Jordan and Chance both getting in the game each in the third and fourth quarter, how do you see Tommy kind of mentor them, maybe in the game or throughout the week after them being prepared for the question?
No, I think he does a good job, just generally speaking. I think the more now they can apply some game experience, to those conversations, and even the way that occurs within a game, I think, yeah, he definitely takes that role very seriously. And, he's about as good an example about how to go about your business as there possibly can be. So I think he's, within that room, he's definitely a leader.
Hunter Parsons is against the name that don't run a lot with that D line depth. He had the sack on Saturday is what he's.
Yeah, I think what Hunter Parsons has done through 3 games is solidify himself as a guy that it's going to be playing on Saturdays. I think we came in the year with that being our thought, but I think his play has been very consistent, and he's continued to change himself physically in each of his years, and I think he's gotten to the point where, along with Zach Cruz, those two, we feel completely comfortable putting them on the field. And then, there were several plays early in that game where we had all 4 defensive ends on the field at the same time, being able to slide Brody and Kenny in to the interior spot. So I think the emergence of Hunter and really him solidifying that role has been apparent over the first 3 games.
What have you thought about your short passing game? Do you have a bit of an emphasis on
Yeah.
that camp?
I think it's been, it hasn't been perfect by any means, but I think it's been really good. I think Tommy's just below 70% right now, completion percentage. And a lot has to do with the ability just to throw and catch routes that are 5 and 6 yards down the field, and taking what the defense gives us, and him being able to process and pick that route. And our guys being able to run good routes, catch it, and then do something with it after the catch, I think has happened several times. So, I couldn't tell you exactly what the portion of his completions is, but the reason for the high completion rate is a lot of those throws we are doing the simple things.
NFL, Alex Singleton had a pick, and he's a captain for the Broncos, and then Purdy, had the block punt.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on those 3 guys, especially Purdy as well?
Yeah. No, it's what you want to see. I think those guys, Alex is a proven vet. Proven vets, you're a key, piece to their team, obviously on the field, but then the leadership, and then just to get a picker out of the 8. I think he's going to continue to have an impactful career as long as he plays. Daniel, watching Hard Knocks, you get a little bit more of a look inside, what the Bears decided to do. And I know on the last show is they kept another end as opposed to an interior guy. And I don't know if that was Daniel necessarily, but then you go and make a play like that on special teams, it all adds up. And, so for him to gain traction, it's going to have to be those type of plays. So awesome for him to be able to do that. And I know they ended up, I think scoring on special teams and scoring on defense, and they didn't do a lot on offense. So, they got to win, and they're moving in the right direction there. And then Troy, yeah, I didn't get a chance to follow that game, but I know it looks like he's got his role back, and expect big things out of him this year. So excited for those guys.
Our family on our mom's side has a deep Montana history, especially stemming from Butte and Helena. We are so proud. One of the things we are most proud of is to call ourselves Montanans. At Up Top Clothing, they have Montana-made and Montana-branded clothing for both men and women. Their Montana Till I Die collection is one of my favorite collections anywhere in the clothing world. And you can shop online and get the Montana Till I Die collection and all the other great gear that Up Top Clothing makes delivered right to your door doorstep. Visit teamuptop.com. And if you use the promo code Skyline15, you're going to get a discount on all your online ordering. Teamuptop.com, Up Top Clothing, reminding you to take a step back and enjoy the moment.
Coulter, do you have anything?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Coach, a couple for you. Just the timing of this bye, does that give you extra time to recruit, or how does it impact recruiting? Just being able to have
Yeah, whether it was this week or next week, it probably wouldn't matter necessarily, but to have an early bye week as we are still in the process of, I think making a lot of decisions in this class, to be able to get out and see coaches, see games live, kind of across the landscape of our recruiting footprint, is really important, and we'll get the bye later in the season, which is where our one has typically fallen. And not that you can't do recruiting later in the season, but I think for us right now is high school seasons are taking off. I think it's going to be good. It's good timing, and we'll get out, like I said, in full force.
Yeah, the fact that it is kind of like the heart of the high school season, does that like make it easier, tougher to evaluate? I mean, how's that work just with where the high school is in their school season?
I think the nature of a lot of the recruiting we do, and especially when you're talking metro areas that, guys can still pop as seniors. I'm thinking of Metroplex, Dallas Fort Worth. I'm thinking of Houston. Maybe those two places in particular down in Texas. There's going to be guys that probably, their senior year is going to be why they get recruited more than anything they had done until this point. And to be able to identify those guys now and get on them now, and maybe get a chance to get some of those guys up, say in October, versus missing that opportunity. And not that we couldn't do it from afar, not that we couldn't do it from just watching, watching video, but being boots on the ground, sometimes you figure out some things a little bit differently than you would otherwise. And especially in a game week mode, we get a chance to watch a lot of film as the week goes on, but to have the contact with coaches and it might be as simple as one coach says, "Hey, did you see this kid at this school?" And then you go to the next school and the same, it's kids emerge and they pop, and it happens basically at the beginning of the year every year. And that's kind of what we're after. I would say we're about half committed in this class right now. So we got plenty of work left to do, and this will be a big week for it.
With the Gold Rush, is that an opportunity for recruiting as well? I mean, did you guys have guys there? I saw some basketball guys there. So
yeah, we had a big recruiting weekend. We had 8 official visitors. 3 had been committed, so 5 weren't. We had a ton of unofficial visitors. All of our in-state committed guys. So yeah, it was big, and I think the game experience is what you're trying to capture with this particular recruiting weekend. I know we'll have recruiting weekends down the road where there isn't a game involved necessarily, but if we can get guys here for a game and they can get a chance to get a really good feel for that, and then you couple that with a bye week where yesterday morning we could spend some real quality time with all those recruits. It was kind of a perfect combination to have as many here on campus as we did.
Obviously, the game day part of it's a huge part, but do you take them I was going through campus. I mean, it was it's buzzing all over the place. Do you let them see all that, like the tailgates and all the sororities and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we spent, I would say, a good 3 hours kind of with the combination of campus and certainly meeting with different individuals within the program. But then, just taking a lap around the stadium, I think is a pretty impactful deal. Getting a chance to see the different aspects of the support, the tailgating, get a chance to see the progress with the indoor, then get those guys down on the field before the game. I think it's all positive, and I think those guys that were here from out of state walked away, flew home, I suppose, with a much better sense for what their opportunity would look like here. And I think the weekend made a really good impression.
What do you think the guys that have never seen the horses think of that? When the horses run you guys out on the field?
I think that's pretty cool. I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. That whole sequence. We don't get a chance to see the video, but I know they had Coach Kohler on there, and I heard he knocked it out of the park. So that whole sequence, then with our guys running out, it's one of those aspects of playing college football that I think guys want to be part of. It's certainly not the most important thing. The game is the most important thing, but all that excitement leading up to it, the energy in the stadium, is what they're after, and we can certainly show that to them, and it's something they can see themselves being a part of and really enjoying.
The one personnel thing I wanted to ask you about was just the interior defensive line. We've talked a lot about the edge guys, but to me, it seemed, it's hard to quantify via statistics, but watching the film, it looks like, especially Paul Brott, Zach Black, those guys seem like they're giving you a lot of good snaps.
Yeah, that combination of those four guys, so Paul and Zach, and then Alec Eckert and Blake Schmidt are playing well, and again, not accumulating great stats, but by and large doing their job. Getting push, I guess, is what you're looking for, both in run and pass game. Opening things up, making it clear for our linebackers. And the fact that we have those four guys going, and in some ways you could see them all kind of as starters. I know, we've been rolling with Alec and Blake to start the games, but Zach and Paul have just as big a role. And so, bringing Alec in and finding a place for him, getting Zach back and healthy, we need to be able to play four in there some way, somehow. And that group of four has been really effective so far.
Thank you.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.